Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Night Owl, a show that we do twice a week where we discuss all the latest in pop culture news and reviews. With me, as usual, is my co host, Professor R2, and I'm Price of Reason. How's it going, Professor?
Oh, I'm doing all right this evening. Some sad news today, hearing about the passing of David Lynch. I figured we'd get to talk about that sooner or later this evening. But yeah, it's that's some sad news. I understand he's been ill for a while, but yeah, great loss there.
Yeah, I mean, we had a few deaths actually in one day. We had
Yeah,
Bob Euchre.
yeah, I saw Bob Euchre as well. Yeah,
Yeah, he was like Mr. Baseball. I posted that the way I was introduced to him, because I'm not as big of a baseball fan, but as a kid, I would watch Mr. Belvedere. He
yep,
was basically the co-star of that show, and I liked that show as a kid. I used to actually watch that regularly.
yeah.
In
So did
addition,
I.
there was what'd you say?
So did I. Yeah, good show.
Very pleasant show, yeah. And then in reruns, and it was there was like a British butler, and he's like with this kind of everyday American guy's family, and I thought that the actors really played nicely off each other. And in addition, there was also these Miller Lite commercials. Is that it tastes great, it lets filling, is that what it was?
Oh gosh, I don't even remember.
Maybe
Not off
somebody
the
can
top of
tell
my
me. It
head,
tastes
but
great, it's less
I
filling,
mean,
or something.
I remember that. I just don't remember specifically if Bob Uecker was part of that or not. But
You know,
uh,
my memory is usually pretty good. Let's see. Bob Euchre. Let's see if I got this right. Tastes great, less filling. Let's see if we can get it. Uh, let's see. I feel like that's what it was, but let me see if I can find it.
I mean, I think he did a few because yeah, I think he was a spokesman for them for a while. But yeah, I loved Bob Uecker. He man, that voice. I could listen to him talk all day long. It was so expressive, and he had so much fun. I mean, I'm not a huge baseball fan either, but I had seen a few casts with him in it, and I had seen I had seen a few different shows. I saw, of course, Mr. Belvedere, and then there were some others later on. Uh, oh, that's interesting.
Are you
I'm
there?
not. Yeah. I'm not sure what's going on with these stars in the background of my my camera. They're kind of going all over the place.
Are they faster than usual? What
No, there's
happened?
like two different sets, like got overlaid or something. It's weird.
It's kind of interesting. It's as if there's fireworks
It's like
outside your.
fireworks. Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Let's see this commercial.
You know, one of the best things about being an ex-big leaguer is getting freebies to the game. Call the front office, bingo. And once these fans recognize me, I probably won't even have to pay for my light beer from Miller. Down it, crap! I love them. These fans know I drink light because it's less filling and it tastes great. Good seats, huh?
You're in the wrong seat, buddy. Come on.
Oh, I must be in the front row.
Come on.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer and less.
Good seats, hey, buddy. He missed the tag. He missed the tag.
So basically, I was right. The less filling and tastes great.
Yep.
You saw that he said it, right?
Yeah.
You thought I was crazy.
No,
You didn't.
I just didn't remember specifically if that was I remembered that particular campaign. I just didn't remember if that was Bob Uecker that was in that campaign or not. But yeah.
You didn't believe in me, Professor.
Yes. I'll never doubt you again, Price.
No, you
Never
can
doubt.
doubt me. I make mistakes, but but in this case, I had a
When it
good
comes to
feeling
beer
about it.
commercials, I will never doubt you again. Okay.
All right, at least I've earned your respect when it comes to Bob Uecker beer commercials from the 80s. But yeah, that used to be a big thing, those beer commercials,
Yeah.
and he was very big in them. And he was just he transcended sports or stuff like that. He was
He
just a
did.
guy, a public persona that everybody knew. And yeah, I mean, it's not that I never watched baseball, and as a kid I would watch it from time to time. It's just that for me, and this is just my own personal preference here, I think that baseball is a game that's extremely long and requires a lot of time
Mhm.
investment on my end. I don't always love investing so much time. Actually, if I go to a baseball game and I'm at the field and I'm watching it live, I actually enjoy that more.
Oh,
But
absolutely. Yeah,
to sit at home and then watch this whole thing for hours and hours and hours, it's just not that same feeling. I think that you really have a different kind of enjoyment if you're watching the game actually happening in a stadium.
absolutely. Yeah, it's a whole different experience going and actually being part of the game, being part of the audience, in the stadium and everything else that's going on top of just, guy steps up, hits a ball, runs. There's so much more going on in the stadium. It's so much fun to be there. I'm, not a huge sports ball fan myself, but I've been to football games, I've been to baseball games, I've been to a few major league games over the years, and a lot of college games. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. And yeah, he's Bob Uecker was just a great talent, and just from all reports, he was just a guy. Like, if he bumped into you
Down
on
to
the
earth,
street,
yeah.
he'd be happy to, talk to you for a minute and, and say hey and, shake your hand and, thanks for being a fan. He was just kind of a down to earth, fun guy, and he was loved by lots of people. So yeah, that's another sad loss today.
So we had him, and then we had David Lynch today, which
Yeah, not
David
not
Lynch.
exactly a down to earth guy.
No, but he was like a very artsy director.
Yes, he was.
Sometimes you think of like the non-artsy ones that are more like Michael Bay. I feel like on the other side of the spectrum, you have somebody like David Lynch,
Yes.
who was very kind of non-compromising on exactly the visions that he wanted.
Mhm.
And you may like or not like everything that he's done, but I think most people would agree that the guy really had his own artistic vision on things and wanted to do things his way. And it's the kind of attitude and artistic integrity that we don't really get a lot from directors these days, from the type of people we see in Hollywood.
Yeah, he would not be the guy who's taking crap from a studio telling him what's supposed to be in his film and how he's supposed to do things, and they're not going to be executives showing up telling him what his film was going to look
No,
like or
no.
sound like or everything. He was yeah, definitely a creative force. I'll be honest, most of the time, not really my tastes. A little out there, a little wild, strange, but I respected that he had a vision. He knew what he wanted to create and how he wanted the visuals to work and the music to work with it and everything that was happening on screen. He had this vision of what it was going to look like you know when it was made, and he stuck to it, and he made some pretty amazing things. I mean, honestly, the thing probably that I remember him for most was Twin Peaks. I also remember I'm sure he would hate this, but from Dune 1984, I remember that. That seeing these just wild I'm like, what wild mind came up with this this stuff, this crazy wild stuff that was going on. I think there was oh, what was another one? um I can't remember the name of it. Yeah, but yeah, I haven't seen a whole lot of his stuff, but I appreciated he was a very visionary director, writer, creator of these shows, and made something unique and different. And unfortunately, we don't get a lot of that in Hollywood these days.
Right, right. And this was something that Tom was mentioning before, and I agree with him that with Twin Peaks, he really introduced something that we didn't often see in TV. He was also mentioning how Bob Iger today was saying some good words about David Lynch, but Bob Iger was actually the one that butted heads with him over the show
Hmm.
because he wanted him to do certain things. He wanted he was feeling pressure and trying to pressure David Lynch to do a show the way Bob Iger wanted, and David Lynch wanted to do it his way. Uh, I will say though that I think that a show like Twin Peaks would have probably been better for like streaming.
Hmm. Yeah.
It was it was a bit out there for TV. I mean,
Yeah.
it's certainly he created this kind of event TV that everybody wanted to know and
Oh
this whole
yes.
town of people and all this stuff, but Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I myself, I think that I watched the early parts of that show, and at some point, you know, it was also it's like, but why did I say that it's good for streaming? When you have streaming, you can go back, you can watch episodes, you can think about them, you can revisit them. But when you need to do like every week, you're supposed to watch at a certain hour, and there's so many things you can
Yeah.
get caught up of in your life. You sometimes aren't able to just you miss an episode. You don't know exactly what's
Oh
going
yeah.
on. I think it was a show that was for me as a weekly television thing was at some point a bit difficult to follow,
Yeah.
and it was kind of out there, but I appreciated that he was an artist and just wanted to do it his own way. I do appreciate that.
Yeah. It was, as they would say, appointment viewing, for a lot
Right.
of people at the time. It was you had to be there, you had to watch it, so the next day you could talk about it around the water cooler, you had to really try and keep up with it. But yeah, if you couldn't, it was I mean, honestly, it was pretty challenging, to actually follow what was going on sometimes in the show. But that's David Lynch, right? It was challenging. It was a little bit wild. So
Right.
yeah,
And Eraserhead says Bob Iger was the executive who forced him to reveal the killer of Laura Palmer. You know, again, I understand he had his own thing, and maybe I think whatever he was trying to do would have been suitable more for modern day streaming. On a network show that you're supposedly looking for a killer every week, and then it just goes on and on and on, and nobody ever finds that killer. There is something rather couldn't I could see how that could annoy somebody, even though I think Bob Iger himself is annoying. I can see why a network would be disturbed that it doesn't seem to be going anywhere. But at the end of the day, he was artsy, he did what he did. I don't even know how it all turned out because like I said, I watched the earlier parts of that show, but at some point I just kind of, you know, I don't wanna say lost interest, it just became too convoluted and so too, you know, all over the place for me, but if you enjoyed watching it, that's fine too.
yeah. I mean, it wasn't my favorite show in the world. Honestly, I've only ever watched through it one time. And it's been a long time. Actually, it's kind of funny because we were watching. Weirdly enough, my son has been watching the show Psych. Did you ever watch that?
Sight?
Psych.
Psych?
Yep.
That's the one where
There's-
there's this guy, he's, like, solving crime, and he's kind of a douche.
Well, he's it's a comedy, but
Right, and
the
it's
guy
him,
is
and then there's this other guy working with him.
yeah, yeah. So he is he grew up as the son of a police officer, and so his dad was always trying to teach him these mental tricks, how to like how many picking out how many hats are in the room and recognizing things. This really like this power of observation, and so this it's almost like a superhuman level of ability that he has of observing things and tying things together and whatever. And so he's using this, but he's kind of he's never really found a career for himself. He's never held a steady job or anything, but he has this amazing power to observe all these things. So what he does is he uses that, and he keeps calling in tips to the police. And then eventually someone questions him because he tells somebody something, and they start asking him, how could you know this? You must be part of the crime. They start accusing him of stuff. And so the way he gets himself out of it is that he convinces them that he's a psychic. And so then he carries on that premise for the rest of the show, pretending to be a psychic. He's really just extremely observant, and he puts two and two together, and he's a great investigator, but he pretends to be a psychic. And so that's where the idea for psych came out. Anyway, they in that particular show, they do as it is a comedy, they do a whole bunch of episodes that are tributes to other shows, like shows that we grew up with in the 80s and stuff. And they have a lot of those actors on. Well, just a couple of days ago, my son was watching it, and they did a Twin Peaks episode. There's a Twin Peaks episode of Psych,
Ah, I see.
and they have a whole bunch of the actors from that show that come back for this Twin Peaks episode where they go to a town up in the mountains, and there's a girl that gets murdered, and they have the but yeah, they have a whole bunch of the actors. Even the actress that played Laura Palmer comes on, and she's one of the people in the town. But we were talking about it the other day, and my son was like, "Is that something I could watch?" I'm like, "Well, I mean, I guess you could watch it. I'm not sure you would enjoy it, but yeah, go for it, right?" So I've been actually thinking about like watching, going back and maybe watching Twin Peaks again. And I never did watch the revival show that they did on.
I didn't watch the revival either,
Yeah.
and even the original show, I remember that they were looking for the murder of Laura Palmer, and I
Yep.
think that initially, in the early parts that I was watching, I thought to myself, "This is very interesting. I really would love to see where it goes." And I hate to sound like Iger, but at some point, I just felt like maybe some people understood and connected more with the show. I just felt at some point, I don't know if to say that my chain was being yanked, but I have this kind of instinct that I feel if a show is yanking my chain too much, it kind of starts to annoy me. And this happens sometimes even with great shows. Like I love the X Files, I love the early seasons of it, but at some point,
Sure.
I'm
Yeah.
just like, you know what? I've had enough of the X Files, and it made me sad to say that because I really liked it. But sometimes you reach a point where you're like, okay, I've had enough. Walking Dead, early seasons really liked. Then at some point, I just said, this is it for me. This is the end of the road.
Yep.
I'm a very loyal viewer. Like I want to like stay for the course. I want to stay the course. But sometimes the show really goes off the rails in a way that I don't have any more patience. Same thing happened to me with Dexter. Dexter is like a strange situation that actually there was something that happened, and I don't want to spoil it in case anybody ever watches it. Around midway through the original series, something happens, and I don't know why it bothered me so much that I didn't feel like watching the show anymore.
Mm,
It's like
okay.
it's so rare that somebody will put something that happens on a show and it'll have that kind of negative effect on me. And man, I really, it's terrible. Like I could put up with a lot of weird crap, but something happened and I'm just like, that's it. I'm out.
Erase.
That was Walking Dead also. Did you used to watch The Walking Dead?
I followed The Walking Dead for a long time. Just week to week would watch it, and then eventually, and it was about the time that they ran into Negan. Around that time, like, well, first of all, after they had that initial encounter with Negan, and he kills Glenn brutally
That was
on
it for me. That
screen.
was it.
My
Now
wife was like, I can't watch this anymore.
I had the
This is
same
too
feeling.
much
I
for me. I
feel like
can't
they
do it."
killed the entire show. I don't know why. The thing with Glenn, basically you waited for months, and I think that you thought that maybe it would be Abraham, which again, it still wasn't pleasant, but like Glenn was the heart of the show. The second that they killed him and
Yeah,
Abraham together in just that way, I just felt like, I don't know. It really it wasn't the same afterwards.
yeah. I did come back to it because they would dump the whole seasons of it after it was finished. They dump whole seasons of it onto Netflix, and so I did kind of come back to it a while later, and kind of just binged through the episodes, and I did end up finishing the initial series. I never cared for the other stuff. They made all those spin-offs. They
Yeah,
made
yeah, it's
they
like I get it, there's zombies and there's a lot of them, like, I
yeah,
don't need more spin-offs of this, like
they did the Fear the Walking Dead, where the first couple seasons, I thought it was all right, and there were a couple of actresses on there. I really enjoyed their performances, but the story just felt like it was going nowhere. I did not care at all about where the story was going, and so yeah, I completely noped out of that one, like second season. And then yeah, there's a bunch of other ones that are in there, and I've never watched any of them. I thought maybe eventually I would go back and watch, because there's supposed to be some that happen after the end of The Walking Dead, where you get to see what happened to Andrew Lincoln's character,
right, Rick and
and
Michonne or
the Rick
whatever
and
it is.
Michonne
It's
show. Yeah,
all
I thought maybe I might eventually go back and watch those, but it's
I don't
not.
even know. Did they even air the one with Rick and Michonne? I have no
They
idea.
did. I believe they did.
They
Yeah.
did? I don't even know. It was so late in the game, so many years after it even mattered that I think nobody even cared. They took something that was really a great show and they just, ran it off a cliff, squeezed it for everything that it had, ran it off a cliff, but it is what it is. I mean, they made money. It's a good cash cow for them. They made a lot of money. What can I tell you? But
Yeah.
back to David Lynch. So in any case, he had his own thing. He had his own integrity, and he was an artist. And it is a shame. It is an overall loss. And then finally, we have this Janos Szwarc, French director of Jaws
Yeah.
2, and Somewhere in Time dies at 85. He also directed Supergirl. Supergirl was a movie that today, again, Tom brought this to my attention, that basically I saw Supergirl when I wasn't in the US. I was actually somewhere else and it was released, and I saw it outside of the US. And I always thought it was a pretty decent movie. Today was explained to me that Supergirl in the US, they cut about 20 or 25 minutes from the movie for no
Oh,
apparent reason.
yeah.
And actually, the cut that existed in the US was considered far inferior to the international one. So I saw the good Supergirl, and I guess
Oh,
everybody saw the bad one.
interesting. Yeah, I'd be interested to see that longer cut. I remember seeing the shorter one when I was a kid. I was never very impressed with that movie. I always thought the villain was particularly lame. But
I remember it as a kid. I was such a big fan of Superman, and
yeah,
you pitch me some other one. There's Supergirl. She's his cousin, or whatever they told me. It was good enough for me. I mean, as a kid, I
yeah,
liked it. I
yes. I mean, I
also
didn't hate it. I just yeah.
Helen Slater was a good choice for Supergirl.
Mhm.
She was good casting. I was saying before to a few people that I think that the best casting to date of Supergirl has been Helen Slater.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, I like her better than Melissa Benoist and I don't know, Sasha Kaye, whatever her name is. I think that Helen Slater was a good choice for Supergirl. But that's just me. I
yeah.
can't. If you like the other ladies, that's fine too.
Oh no, honestly, I've never watched any other Supergirl shows.
Oh, okay.
So
So you'll have to take my word for it. Yeah.
yeah, no, I thought she did fine, and she filled out the costume well, and looked good on screen, and yeah, I never had a problem with
Hey, looking good on screen is
casting.
not a negative thing. That's a good
No, it's
thing.
not. I'm saying she played the role well. She wasn't a bombshell. She just looked nice, and gave a good performance, and yeah, looked like Supergirl. What more do you want?
So, for people that are looking at the thumbnail, this is a story that basically Trump named Sylvester Stallone, Mel Gibson, and John Voight as special ambassadors to troubled Hollywood. They'll bring back lost business. I was telling people earlier today that I don't think this is such a serious thing in terms of that they're really you know active ambassadors like the kind that you actually appoint for different countries and stuff.
Yeah,
I think that the idea here is that on the surface he's saying, I guess what he said, they will serve as special envoys to me for the purpose of bringing Hollywood, which has lost much business over the past 4 years to foreign countries, back bigger, better, and stronger than ever before. These three very talented people will be my eyes and ears, and I will get done what they suggest. It will be like the United States of America itself, the golden age of Hollywood. Now, basically, I think that this isn't like an official appointment or anything like that. I think that what Trump is doing is mainly, first of all, rewarding the people that were in his corner. I think that over the past number of years, it hasn't been so cool to like Trump or to hang out with Trump or to go to Mar-a-Lago. And every time one of these people said something in support of him or seemingly supported him, a lot of times there would be some kind of backlash. Like they tried to cancel Stallone because Stallone, somebody said he went to Mar-a-Lago or something to play golf or something, This really happened. This really happened. He went
Well,
there and they were trying to cancel
Stallone
him.
is the one that got up in front of awards and said that Trump was the new George Washington.
Right. I mean, basically, Stallone has been, very friendly with him, and he's come to Mar-a-Lago. He hung out, and at the time, just so you know, Stallone wasn't telling people who to vote for or what to do. He's like actually kind of quiet when it comes to his politics. But all these newspapers were always trying to throw him under the bus, trying to cancel him. It just didn't work because people really like Stallone. In addition, you have Mel Gibson, which also I think he's been very vocal in supporting Trump, and he's also for many reasons these days. I mean, I know years ago he had some stuff that he said, but I think that these days he's doing pretty okay, but I don't know that he's embraced by Hollywood. Same with John Voight,
Hmm.
who has been a very vocal supporter, Republican and things like that.
Yeah.
I feel like this is Trump's way of saying, hey, these guys are okay, I like these guys. you know it's like a statement to all these Hollywood people, and even maybe almost saying like, I want to see you guys try to cancel these people here. Uh, Not only am I not canceling them, they're my eyes and ears in Hollywood. They're those guys, or they're the people that I trust in Hollywood. We're gonna make good things happen. We're gonna bring business back and things like that. I don't know if Hollywood lost so much money to foreign stuff. I think that there's a lot of productions that don't even take place in Hollywood. They take place in Georgia or other places. Sometimes it's even in the U.S. Hollywood. I mean, Gavin Newsom, California, on all their stupid policies. I'm sure they've chased a lot of businesses away, including for Hollywood. But I don't know that these guys will be able to make a difference one way or another. I just felt that this was Trump's way of giving back something to the people that were in his corner.
Yeah, sure. I think so. Yeah, and I'm not surprised of the people that he's sort of chosen for this role. Yes, they have been outspoken. John Voight's been outspoken as someone on the right for a very long time, uh, and of course, Mel Gibson. He's had his challenges, shall we say, but he's also frequently bucked the establishment in Hollywood. And then, when you see someone like Stallone, he's had this long career where he's kind of reinvented himself a number of times, doing different things and playing different roles. He now has Tulsa King, where he's kind of helping produce the show as well as starring in it and doing a lot. What is this actually going to mean in the end? What are they actually going to do? Are they going to be able to sway anybody in Hollywood? I have no
I
idea. I
almost
really don't. No, I don't think John Voight's going to be swaying too many people. Honestly,
no,
I'm surprised
I
John Voight can even stand up under his own
I,
under his own power
I don't
anymore.
think so. I agree with everything that you're saying, but I will say that this is Trump's way of kind of warning, you can't cancel these people. These
Yeah,
are my people in Hollywood. You better be nice to these people because I don't have time for your crap.
yeah, yeah. And I honestly, there's other people too. I think that maybe could step up and help with this kind of thing. Maybe not as official envoys, but we've seen plenty of other people recently who've been very vocal and basically said, just screw Hollywood. I don't care about Hollywood anymore. Uh, what's his name? As Zach Levi,
Zachary Levi, James
Zachary
Woods, Tim
James Woods.
Allen.
Yeah. Rob Schneider is another one, a comedian who's been very
True.
open about supporting Trump and about that. Other less vocal people, but have still been very supportive and for a long time on the right. Someone like Kelsey Grammer, he's very
Right.
much a centrist and has
Dennis Quaid.
many times had to stand up to people, about being a more independent voice in Hollywood. So yeah, I mean, I think there's more than a few established voices out there, but yeah, I think the whole idea is, yeah, we're gonna highlight some people who need to be listened to in Hollywood, perhaps rather than being canceled.
Now, Empress and Emmon saying they were trying to cancel Stallone over dad bods being sent in place of fit young dudes. Yeah, I mean, we've laughed about this a few times that apparently the rumor is, and there's nobody that's ever even corroborated this rumor, but supposedly, if the rumor is true, there was a scene that's supposed to be some young people, at a club setting or party setting, and then he walked on the set. There were a bunch of older people that were kind of fat. So he just said something like, "Who are all these slobs here?" And then I guess because he said something like that, the whole media wanted to cancel him. I mean, the guy, even at whatever age he is, he's fit, he's in shape, he does everything that he needs to do. So he walked on, and it wasn't the right people that they didn't hire the right extras. He's allowed to say it, and he said, "Oh, they're fat slobs," or whatever they said. I mean, as I was saying when we talked about it, when if he would have called me a fat slob, I wouldn't have been offended.
Yeah.
If he was expecting like a 20-year-old with like a six pack, and then like I was sitting there and like drinking a beer, and then you'd walk in and say, "Hey, who is this slob?" It's like I'd be like, "Yeah, sorry, Sly, didn't know that's what you needed, the six pack
I, I thought
20-year-old." And
I thought you were looking for slobs in this scene. My
right,
apology.
I wa I was surprised that you needed a fat slob, but I showed up nevertheless, and
Yeah.
you need somebody else, I understand that as well. I mean, you gotta have a sense of humor, and I'm sure that, I don't even know that he said that. That's the thing. There was nobody that could even prove that he said that. It was somebody that suspected that that's what he thought, or I don't know. It was such a nothing burger. And,
Oh yeah,
y
the cancel culture stuff is so ridiculous. The people they'll try to shut down somebody over the slightest remark, the silliest little things. It's like, yeah, we got to pounce on them and take our opportunity to shut them down and end their careers over some tiny remark that they made, and we're going to blow it up into this huge thing. And it's ridiculous.
absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that this is some kind of groundbreaking scoop. I think that this is just, something. It's a nice gesture to these people. Uh, in addition, whether he's signaling here in the U.S., maybe he's signaling to the people that voted for him, maybe he's signaling to Hollywood, or just internationally. These are people that have some, they're veterans in the industry, and they're ones that he respects, and he was giving them a bit of a Trump bump.
Sure.
But whatever. I mean, who knows what'll happen with it? It was a nice thing for him to say. I don't know what'll happen beyond that. And if nothing else, maybe studios will think twice. Imagine now you want to do something like you want to start canceling Gibson or canceling Voight, or what Stallone is more difficult to cancel. But imagine you want to do that, and the president is like really fully backing these guys. Maybe you think twice before you start, playing games with them at minimum.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
maybe that's what he was trying to achieve. Who knows?
Part of
But
they're part of Trump's posse now.
yeah, they're
You don't
part
you
of
don't
Trump's
you don't
posse,
mess with
exactly. It's fine, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't care. First of all, I like Stallone. In terms of Mel Gibson, I grew up liking his movies. I will say that there were a few years of his life that, and I know I know some people really like the guy, but I think that he kind of went off the deep end for a few years there, and, I don't know. I don't know if things like anger management or whatever it is. I don't know if he went to those or if it mattered to him. I think that in more recent years, when he talks or when he interviews, he seems on the surface like he's doing better. I would hope
Mhm.
for him that he is.
Yeah.
It seems that way. But yeah, I don't think that in recent years he's done anything like bonkers. And Stallone I've always liked, and John Voight I've always liked too. He hasn't done anything bad to me.
No, no, I never had a problem with John Voight. He's had some great performances over the years.
Yeah, I did, the only one that really disappointed me out of the 3 was Mel Gibson, because I really liked him. He was that type of star that's enough that he's in a movie, and
Mhm.
you wanna go see that movie. You know, you almost don't have that kind of thing today where there's like a star in a movie and you want to go see the movie. But Mel Gibson was that type of star, and he was so well liked. I think that the part that, like I said, he had a few years between some incident that they arrested him, in the DUI. He was saying a bunch of crazy stuff, and then his probably ex-wife, who was recording him. Those recordings are not very flattering.
No.
Now, obviously, I don't love the idea of the woman recording and even sharing that kind of stuff. I don't love that. There's something about that I don't love,
Oh,
but
it's scummy. Yeah,
it's
it's like
scummy.
it was private conversation. There was he didn't know he was being recorded, and then to just put that out there, completely empty of context or anything like that. Yeah, I mean, yes, some of his things that he said were indefensible, right? Some of the stuff that was clearly very very offensive, very anti-Semitic. Some of the other comments that he made, and
Right, and the thing with
to be honest, he's made good on an apology for those things, and in a lot of ways. So, it's yeah, it's kind of it's always gross when someone's just going and taking some video or some conversation or something, and that was private, and then posting that publicly.
I actually understood a lot though from those cassettes. I understood a lot about the guy from those cassettes, even though I don't agree with the fact that the wife was recording them and posting them.
Yeah.
But when I heard them, what I thought to myself, and again, maybe unpopular opinion, and I hope that he's gotten help. When I heard how he was talking on those tapes, there were moments that he's kind of going insane and getting angry and kind of yelling and cursing. And I said to myself, man, this guy, maybe therapy and like, some anger management, he really sounded
Yeah. Well,
really
he was also drunk for the most
again,
part.
and
Yeah.
and I think the initial thing that you were saying, that when they caught him drunk driving and he had some comments that he made, and then later with his wife that he was yelling, that he's not a good drunk. You know what I mean? I don't
Mhm.
know what issue he had. I hope he's overcome it. If that was a result of him being drunk, he wasn't a good drunk. But he seems, in more recent years when they interview him, he seems kind of reserved and just, and the sad part is before all those, like, recordings of him going bonkers, I actually, he had a really good reputation in the sense that he was very well liked.
Oh yeah. No,
Like, he
he's
probably harmed himself more than anything else.
oh,
He,
absolutely. Yeah.
he did this sort of damage to himself. He's also, in addition to being a good actor, he's also a good director, and I don't know. I I try to still think to myself that somebody could say something at some moment in time, drunk, can get maybe some, clean or treatment or whatever it is, and maybe they don't need to be punished for life for something in the past that they may or may not have said. I mean, we should live in a society where somebody says, "Hey, you know what? I drank a lot and said some stupid thing," and we can also move on. We don't need, people make mistakes sometimes. I guess that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. And there needs to be a an environment that can accept forgiveness. They can offer forgiveness to somebody who has genuinely tried to make amends for comments or anything that they might have done. We I actually saw a story recently about how apparently Mel Gibson has been privately and quietly giving tons of money to Jewish charities, I guess. And I mean, that's yeah, hey, he's trying to be, he's trying to make up for some things that's, comments that were made public that were harmful, and that he's apologized for, and he's trying to,
Right, right.
to make
It's
good on that
also,
in a way that's genuine, right?
listen, it's been decades. I think that as a
Yeah.
society, if somebody says, "Hey, I was decades ago, I was drunk and said some stupid things," I think that people can also just accept that sometimes somebody is angry and says something stupid. I would argue that as much as those were the more publicized comments, the the thing with him yelling at his wife, I heard some things that were arguably even worse that most
Yeah.
people don't even talk
Mhm.
about. And it really showed to me that, like I said, I think that the guy is not a good drunk. Somebody was saying here, I think that I have Nordic said, wasn't Mel drunk? If we were all judged by what we said drunk. I agree with you, but I think that based on the way I heard him talking also on those cassettes, it sounded like at that moment in time, I don't know what it is, but I'm super hopeful that it's not relevant to today. At that moment in time, I think that he really did drink a lot.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
guessing, okay?
I'm not sure what was driving his need to drink, his desire to drink so heavily. There can be all sorts of different emotional things, stress, all sorts of stuff that
It
can
didn't
push
help.
people into, uh, you know, alcohol, and over consumption of alcohol. So, yeah, if
I
yeah, if
mean,
you
it didn't help. It didn't help. Again, not my business, and I don't know all the details. He was married to a woman for a very long time, which I think he had a family and kids, stuff like
yeah,
that. He
yeah,
became super wealthy also from doing the, Passion of the Christ. Made a ton of money,
yes,
and then at that point, suddenly he was on the outs with his wife, married a very young Russian lady. Don't have anything against Russian lady. I'm sure she looked very nice also, which is probably why he married her. But I think that the new lady, the new younger Russian lady, probably wasn't helping him either. Even in the thing that she was recording him getting drinking and getting upset, I don't necessarily think that she didn't contribute at least something to his like agitation and anger. She seemed like a lady that came along knowing exactly who he is, how much money is in his bank account, and sitting around and recording and trying to get a guy like once he's drunk and saying weird things and then having it allegedly mysteriously leaking it to the press in order to get like a sweeter deal out of him. I don't really like that stuff. But with all of that being said, and maybe this Russian young lady was a handful, and she got pregnant, and they had a kid, and maybe she was a big headache. I still will say that when I heard those cassettes and how he was acting, I still think that it was something that I thought to myself, I hope this guy gets some kind of help. And I think that he did. That's my take on it. I think that he did, and I I I am able to forgive somebody for things that happened years ago if the guy kind of got his act together and changed or whatever it is.
yep. We got 32 flavors of Nick Weiser in the house. Hey there.
Hey, what's up, Nick?
We also have a super chat from the Dead Man for 4.99. Says Price, you're such an awesome guy. You make so many videos.
Nick, do you feel like joining us? I can send you a link. He's probably already sleeping.
Yeah.
Let me see. I'll try to send him a link, maybe. Nick's a good friend of mine. I feel like beyond Mead, Midnight's Edge After Dark, that we stream a lot together, somehow with our schedules, I always feel like I want to stream with him more than I do. But he's a really, really good guy, Nick. Let me see if I can find. Where is his thing? Here you go. I sent him a link. He
Looking
can
for Nick's
decide to do it.
thing. Looking for Nick's thing live on the air.
Yeah, yeah. He said acknowledge them supers. Are there super chats?
Oh, we got it. Yeah.
There are?
We got it. I just said, yeah, the one from the Dead Man for
Okay.
4.99. Yep.
All right, cool. So, yeah, I just sent it to you, Nick. That's cool. Nick's never hopped on to one of these streams. It would be nice to have him here.
Not everybody's up for the late nights, but it's nice to have
It's our special
some
thing.
guests here and there.
Sent it to you, Nick. I hope he's listening too. Oh wait, I meant I sent it to you. This thing. I'm the best. Looking for 3. I don't know what Cable of Levine is talking about, but that giggle, who's giggling? Have no idea what's going on.
I'd giggle. Yeah. I don't.
Did I giggle or did
Your
Nick giggle? I
my
don't even
giggle.
know.
Nick's giggle. I don't know.
In any case, yeah, so basically, like I said, but people make mistakes. It is what it is, and he doesn't bother me these days.
No.
Sometimes, and I think as a society, beyond Mel Gibson, I think we should be able to have a guy just come out and say, "Listen, I made a mistake. I drank a lot. I said something, and that's it." I mean, we can't just ruin everybody's lives every second because maybe they did something that perhaps they said or did something they regretted. Uh, Again, not for nothing. I know that Richard Donner, who was Jewish, thought the world of Mel Gibson until the day he died. He said stuff also that could have potentially offended Danny Glover, but without getting too much into it, because if I said it, probably, if I repeated what Mel Gibson said in those tapes, that would have offended Danny Glover. It's probably worse than the other stuff that he said. But Danny Glover doesn't seem to hate him, so what can I tell you?
Yep.
Whalem03 said, Russian women look great, young. And then they look like a grandma at age 40. That is very insightful. They're very insightful. I'll keep that in mind. Well, I mean, you could say that about a lot of women. For example, I don't know why. I can't believe I'm getting into this conversation. I should not even open my mouth now, but I'll say this. Sometimes you have a woman.
Going.
Is Nick here? Is that Nick?
Yeah, Nick is here.
I'm in the back door, so bring me to the front.
I think. Wait, hold on. Why can't we?
He doesn't have a camera on.
You don't have a camera on?
Also, they can only hear me, but they can't see me.
Right. I mean, it's either you use OBS or you have a camera.
Well, my camera is being bipolar right now, so as long as you can hear me, I'll just be the voice in people's heads, so we can roll with it.
I can help you there. I know what to do. Give me 1 second.
Oh, yes.
I'm going to fix this whole situation, Nick.
I believe in you.
You're going to see the solution right before your eyes.
Ooh.
Okay, image, add existing,
create
new.
I've never used Rumble Studio before. This is wild.
It's a different kind of thing, but we like it.
It's different.
Well, hey, it's better than EV Mux. I want to tear EV Mux apart. Seriously, I'm not joking either.
No, oh
EV
boy,
Mux
yeah.
Dude, I'll tell you what, man. EV Mux on my buddy Comics Division stream we just did Thursday Night Throwdown. Every single time something new happens, like let's just say someone on the panel is speaking, and all of a sudden, maybe like Culture Casino can't hear everyone, but everyone in the chat can't. It's one of those things, or the other way around. My
buddy Adam Gray, who does a stream on Fridays, he's been using EV Mux, and it has been a mess. they had to give up their license for the other one.
Well, as you can see, Nick, I added you, so now people can see your symbol next to mine. So you're here.
Boy, thank you. I feel perfectly sandwiched between you and Professor Artune. By the way, I don't think we've met ever before.
Yeah, I don't think we have. I think I've seen you in plenty of streams before, but yeah, I don't think we've actually been on stream together. Good to see you, Nick.
Good to see you.
Good to see your symbol.
Yeah, right. You're an android. I got a fish, and I'm just a logo. We're all something a little different here. I like that.
So
that's true diversity.
This is the most diverse group ever. Yeah, I mean, what's your thoughts? We were just saying how Mel Gibson, maybe years ago, there were some instances where he was drunk and said some things that he shouldn't have, and also that his wife used to record him drunk and things like that. But we were saying this happened many years ago, and he seemed to have gotten his life together, and sometimes it's okay to forgive. I guess that's what we were talking about.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, here's the thing with the whole Mel Gibson situation. honestly, everything about it is just, I'll just say, it's just straight up bullshit, because every one of these celebrities has said similar shit. And I'm not saying in the little sense, but in the figurative of, in terms of the level of what he said. They've all done it behind closed doors. They're no better. And to a lesser extent, all of us as humans, though, sometimes out of anger, sometimes it's sincere. Like, I'm so freaking tired of the freaking Puritan games. Like, oh, who said this? Well, yeah, you probably say dumb shit too. That's on your level. So they're just it's all political. They're just going after him because he has the political views that they don't like. They maybe would make an exception, if he was more in line with the loony bin, but because he's not who they are, this is just ammunition to use every little ounce of imperfection, from his past to make it blow up in his face against him now. And you know what? Guys like Danny Glover, he's worked with him. He's very different from him politically. There's no surprise there. I think Professor R2 mentioned something about that Danny Glover. And if he's willing to put that shit aside, I mean, why can't anyone else? I think even Robert Downey Jr., I think he's like moderately left, he was saying way back when, like 3 or 4 years ago on Rogan, hey, we need to give Mel Gibson a chance again. It's clear that guys like him, even at the height of his career as Iron Man, have not forgotten, hey, Mel's still one of the greats. And he is. Even if you take away his political, religious positions, you could see he, at the root of it all, he's a great actor. Like, he's got many great movies. He's got a great resume. And you can't deny that resume. If you do, you're just in denial because you're coping, because you're letting your political positions cling to your life rather than judging him for the merits of his body of work.
Well, the truth is, what happened was the reason why Robert Downey Jr. is always very supportive of Mel Gibson is that Robert Downey Jr. himself had a big problem with drugs.
Yes, he
And
did.
if you remember, there were years that no studio would hire him.
Oh, they wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole.
So Donnie knows what it's like to be in his position. I think that's why he fought in his corner a little bit.
Even more than that is that I think that at a time that nobody would hire Robert Downey Jr., Mel Gibson did that movie Air America, and he said, I want Robert Downey Jr. in my movie. And the studios told him, you can't have him. We can't have him in a movie. And he said, no, he's going to be in my movie. And I think that Mel Gibson, in order for him to be there, I vaguely remember that in order for Robert Downey Jr. to get the role, they did some kind of thing where, like, Mel vouched for him, even financially or something. He gave guarantees that there would be no problem with Robert Downey Jr., stepped up to try to help him. He got the role, and that was like at least another step in the direction of his comeback that he fought for him that way. This proved to studios that Robert Downey Jr. isn't just some kind of heroin addict or whatever he was, but that actually he's an actor that can be trusted. And that's really, I think that's beyond what money can even describe, what he did for Robert Downey Jr. So that's why, amidst everything, like, Robert Downey Jr. is always very, very much says, hey, people make mistakes. I made mistakes. He was there for me. And
he's returned the favor. And that's, that's great, because it shows you even when he was at the height of his career with Iron Man, he didn't forget where he once was. It's clear that he remembers, and he was paying it forward to a guy who is now in the same position. This is why you gotta really be thoughtful when you talk down to someone, because I'm not gonna act like I never do it. There's a time and place for it, but you gotta be careful. Why you gotta be careful is because if you're doing it in terms of like a status, well, soon you might be under them one day. It's kind of like the equivalent of like if like a headlining band, we're talking shit about the opening bands, like, you better watch, man. One day you might be opening for them, and they might be headlining over yours, and then you're gonna seem like the small fry. And clearly that's what happened. Mel Gibson was one of the biggest stars at one point. And then our RDJ became one of the biggest stars. And yet both guys never forgot each other, whether they were at the top or at the bottom. And that's great to see. I know, what's his face? I don't know his views, but I know he spoke highly of him once he got back into Hollywood. Andrew Garfield, he spoke highly of working with him. He said he loved working with Mel Gibson. So I don't assume that he has different positions in him. He spoke very highly of him, and he loved working with him. And when he did that show, The Continental, I can't remember if it was the showrunner or one of the directors of the episode, like, what was like working with Mel Gibson? They were trying to egg him on to say something. And he just said that, all his beliefs, we don't talk about that. We work on the show, and that's fine. That's what it should be about, is leave your beliefs at the door, focus on the show. And Gibson is absolutely been and always has been, and most likely always will be, about meritocracy. and it shows you Gibson doesn't like close himself off to other people who are not like him when it comes to a project. If he knows someone who's the right man for the job, he's gonna freaking do it, and that's awesome.
So you have here the background for this thing. It says Gibson and Downey Jr. co-starred in the movie Air America. Gibson paid Downey's insurance bond for the 2003 film The Singing Detective. So it was a different one that he paid the insurance bond, but nevertheless, I'm telling you that he's the one that was like trying to get him back into Hollywood. And I think that I dare say that if he didn't try to help him then, we may not even have seen him as Iron Man. So I think that's
Possible,
why
yeah.
he appreciates his support. Uh, he also Gibson says that Downey Jr. saved him from being blacklisted after his 2006 arrest. Downey Jr. said that Gibson helped him get sober by urging him to find faith and accept responsibility for his actions. Basically, also Downey Jr. said Gibson helped him get back on track after he fell off the wagon. So it sounds like they've really, been there for each other in their career. And yeah, I mean, when I hear these stories, I think, there must be something positive. It's not only, a negative thing. And maybe people aren't just good or bad. Maybe sometimes you have a bad period of time or you make a mistake, and I guess that's what it is.
Yeah, this whole
Robert Downey Jr., as somebody said here in the chat, sat in jail. Whalem 03. Yeah, they arrested Robert Downey Jr. He had a gun, heroin, and what else? What else? He was driving with a gun and like a sack of heroin or something. What was it?
Oh, I can't remember. It's been so long.
It was something like that. It was something like that. It's almost like a joke. Like it wasn't something minor that they're like, oh, we think that maybe there's a little bit of narcotics on him or something. Like he had like a ton of like drugs on him and guns and things like that. It was like, there was.
So in June of 1996, he was pulled over driving his pickup, and he was found to be in possession of cocaine, heroin, and a firearm. And he was arrested 2 weeks later after he stumbled into a neighbor's home under the influence of drugs. So, yeah, he was in a bad place. Yeah. And if you've ever heard his story, talking about how, it was his father that got him, that his father was a heavy user of drugs. And it was almost like a bonding thing. It was the only way he could connect with his dad was using. And it's really sad. When you think about it, I mean, that's really terrible. But yeah, he is a Hollywood success story in a lot of ways, and especially when you talk about redemption, being able to come back from essentially the end of his career, destroying his career with the heavy use of drugs and all of the arrests and everything that happened, and then being able to get back up there, and now he's bigger than he ever has been. And it's good for him to recognize, and I hope he's sincere in that, saying that, Mel Gibson had some rough times. He was struggling, and it's definitely time for us to start, bring him back into the industry, let him create, and don't try to shut him out just because of his past. So, and I hope he would advocate the same for a lot of people.
And they all have one. That's the thing. They all do. Almost all of them all do. I guarantee it. Like if we really all did our digging, like I don't know how people don't put these like connections together. Like especially when we find out about like people like Neil Gaiman and such like that. The more these people signal, the dirtier their closet actually is, and they're trying to deflect from what they do. They just don't want the attention on them. And every time the skeletons come out of their closet, we see their closets are as bad as the people they like to, insult. But in many cases, they end up being much, much, much worse. And Mel Gibson mostly has said a bunch of dumb things, but he's not done too many dumb things. I mean, yeah, the DUI was stupid, but we're way, way, way past that. And luckily, no one got killed. So, what's done is done there. It seems like that's beyond past, but doing things versus saying the dumbest things. I'm going to worry about the worst thing that he has done versus what he's said.
I mean,
We need to
remember,
get back to worrying about what people do as far as like physical assault versus he said mean thing.
remember when Rob Lowe nearly lost his career over a sex tape?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That's so mild today.
I
Yeah.
know.
God. It's nothing.
No,
That's
I
what you
wanted
do
to
when your
ask you
career's on the
guys
rocks.
What
I-
is it, Price?
the whole Asmongold and Elon Musk
Jeez.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
It just went completely bonkers. I guess it's been going on for a few days.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you guys, Professor, you like gaming and you follow
Yeah.
this kind of stuff all the time. What do you think of this whole situation?
Before I say something, I want to say that Nerd Wars has showed up in the chat over here on YouTube and has gifted 5 Price of Reason live memberships. Thank you, Nerd
Nice.
Hey,
Wars.
thanks, Nerd Wars. That's Erwin.
Yeah.
That's so
Appreciate
nice of
it.
you. Thank you.
Yeah, and
Here,
maybe a little
here.
little mini raid here too. I'm seeing some new
Oh,
names
huge raid.
in
Yeah.
the chat. So yeah,
Nice.
Look at all those members. I like it.
sweet.
I know. So anyway,
Congrats
you
to
were
all
talking
those-
about Musk and Asmongold.
Oh, jeez. Okay, so, uh, this is definitely competitive gaming stuff. Definitely not something I follow very much. But it's kind of funny because I did actually I kind of watched the initial video that Asmongold did and talking about Musk and whether he was actually playing the game or not. Thought it was some it's somebody else playing the game, not Elon. There's been a lot of accusations that Elon is not actually this elite level player that he says he is. This is not something new. You'll remember when Elon did uh, oh Joe Rogan. It was when he was on Joe Rogan. He was
Mhm.
talking about playing, I can't remember which game it was. But talking about playing at these really high levels and how he does that, for the fun of it. Maybe I think it's Diablo 2, maybe, or Diablo 3. It plays it at this really high level, and he likes to do it because it helps kind of calm his mind and help him concentrate and whatever. And so he's this really high level player. Well, there's a newer game. Actually, I'm not even sure if it's even completely released yet. Path of Exile 2 is this newer game, very similar style of game, looks to be. And there was videos of him supposedly playing out there, and a bunch of people have been reviewing this video saying, oh no, he's not, this isn't actually him playing, he's hired somebody to build this character. uh, Folsom Lockdown says it was Diablo 4 was the game he's competitive in. I suppose that could be the one. But this newer one is Path of Exile 2. And during one of his streams, Asmongold basically was watching somebody and watching the video supposedly of Elon playing and was saying, oh, that's not him. That's not him. He had somebody play this account. There's no way he got to the level that he got in this game by getting there with with his own time and his own, there's no way he put in that. There's no way he's this great of a gamer. And then they were watching it and saying, oh, look, oh, he's leaving behind some of the most important stuff. And, there's he unless he's using some tools to help him get through some of the, some of these, huge drops that are there. There's no way it can happen. So it was weird kind of watching them because honestly, I don't have that kind of knowledge about that game to know that, oh yeah, that's kind of suspicious that you would do this, or that doesn't make sense if you do that. So just kind of watching what they were saying and seeing, I'm like, I mean, I can see where they were coming from, saying, no, I don't think I don't think this is actually him playing, or he didn't actually build this character up to this level because he's just not showing that he's actually knowledgeable about the game in the way that he's playing it. So that he probably paid somebody to play that character up to that level, and now he's playing it, that really high level character. Elon apparently, well, as he would, got very upset about Asmongold. Apparently watches Asmongold. How somebody as busy as Elon has time.
Right. I mean, how is this even of interest to him? But yeah.
but apparently, someone brought it to his attention or somebody watched. I don't know, but basically started, firing shots back at Asmongold, saying that he needs a reality check, and he's, they think he's a maverick, but he's not really his own man.
I mean, I
This
thought that
kind of drama stuff like this drives me crazy. 'Cause
it seemed so petty from what I looked at.
it does.
At the end of the day, this is my interpretation. I could be completely wrong. Elon Musk is the richest man in the world. I'm sure that he can get like a version of that Diablo thing where they already set him up that he's completely boosted. You know what I mean? Like
Absolutely.
just for him to be involved and play their stupid game. Nothing personal. I mean, it's not stupid, but you know what I'm trying to say. Just that he'll be involved and play their game. They may set him up with like the most boosted character that has all the features and all the things, that maybe somebody else would have to spend many hours to get. So it is a possibility. And even if that's the case, it's not that I'm losing any sleep over it. I think this is very petty. Elon Musk, I'm sure, is a very busy guy. The fact that he even plays video games and he really has been speaking a lot about not wanting agendas in video games, I think that's an overall win. I think that, if you like video games and you want them to be good, it's something I like I said, it's a win, and I think it's something we can embrace. To be nitpicky and say, well, he's rich, so he got a boosted account. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that there's other fish to fry, personally. I think that Asmongold is nitpicky and annoying, and at the same time, in this sense, okay, I don't know the guy. I'm not saying that he's nitpicky and annoying about everything. I'm saying in this specific instance, I think he's a bit petty, and I think that also Elon's reaction to it seemed a bit, petty as well.
I
But
think he was trolling with that. I mean, it was clear he was fucking with him. At least that's my takeaway from that price. Because he took away his check mark, but then he gave it back. I think he was just toying around with him, and that was what that. Now, overall, whether it was petty or not, I think Elon Musk should just not get involved in that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Not because it's petty, but because he's Elon Musk. The guy
Yeah.
is
right, he has other
very
things to do.
sharp.
He doesn't need
He
it.
has, and if he has a way, which I don't know how he does, between managing Twix, now getting involved in Doge, then obviously with space stuff, and the car stuff, the Starlink. If he can start trying, play in some gaming, hey, more power to him. Whether it's regular gaming or boost gaming or whatever, great for him. But dude, you don't need this stuff in your life. You should be like looking at that and just seeing it as just like barely a blip on the radar. There's a time and place for it can be funny. It's kind of like I guess we could use Gary Neurotic. He doesn't reply to every detractor he has on Twix, but every now and then he'll cherry pick one and then he'll make some humor out of it. Like there's a time and place for the occasion, but he definitely does a lot more than the average guy who's on his level of status.
Yeah, I think it's a bit nitpicky, but you know what? Maybe he was trolling, maybe he wasn't. I'm not worried about either of these guys too much. At the end,
No, they'll
Asmongold,
both. If anything, they're both gonna benefit from. I guarantee you, Asmongold's gonna benefit from this because he probably got eyes on him just from engaging with Elon Musk. Don't forget that a lot of people get paid for the monetization with X. He's gonna get a boost from this. So I
for
guess in a
sure.
way that's good for Asmongold. So I don't think
Oh,
he's gonna
he's the
lose
big
anything
winner.
here.
I think Asmongold is the big winner here. I know who he is because I follow more like gaming stories, and I know I've actually watched some of his videos, and I know who he is. But I'm sure there's a lot of more normie people that actually don't even know who he is, and now they do. So
Yeah.
Well, good for him.
So, and it wasn't just him. I was trying to find an article here to kind of summarize some of this stuff. So, there was not just Asmongold, but several other creators have also expressed some suspicions of, from watching this live stream that Elon did, where he basically is playing this game, and he faced off against one of the toughest bosses in the game. And typically, when characters are going to go up against that boss, if they want to be successful, there's a whole bunch of basically equipment that they have to gather, crisis fragments, and that requires hundreds of hours of grinding, right? And somehow he appeared to have all of this stuff within a week, right? As if he's got hundreds of hours of his time to
Yeah, I
pour
mean,
into grinding and collecting all these things. So there's people saying, well, hold on, like you got all of this stuff, you got all of this equipment within a sort of, like 9 or 10 days, and that seems really weird. And then they were also kind of showing a few other things, like there was a particular, like a drawer, I guess, where you keep equipment in the inventory that was labeled Elon's maps. Like, why would you label if you were Elon, why would you label that Elon's maps instead of my maps or something like that, right? And
there's a lot of strange things here, but for me, the bottom line is he has a million companies and a million things to do. I really don't care if the company gave him the best, boosted account or whatever it is. It doesn't bother me. I can see why somebody would want to be nitpicky, but I don't really care. Even if it's all true, I don't really care.
yeah,
There's-
it's a silly
It's
controversy.
silly. It's a very silly drama, actually.
I think
But
I think
sorry,
there's
go on.
just some gamers, I think, that they do not like that he sort of is claiming to be this elite player when there's a lot of evidence that perhaps he's taking some shortcuts, and that he's basically buying his way into in these higher level characters. So
Mhm.
that there's definitely some people that get upset about that.
I see that the dead man says, I don't think it's a necro situation. I think it's neurotic. That's what you meant to say. Actively responds to everyone, either through email or super chat.
I'm
Gotcha.
not talking about the dead man. I'm talking about when you go through his Twix feed, every now and then he'll
He
reply
gets
to
trolls.
someone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
when he gets the trolls, maybe, and I think he misunderstood me. When he has people who respond, especially, let's just say, for an example, when he likes to do his annual posts of Peter Parker's Spider-Man, Miles Morales is Miles Morales. He doesn't. He has hundreds, maybe even thousands. That could even be literal of people
Yeah.
who have superficial comments to say about it, and he'll pick one or two every now and then and reply to them. Has something really funny and clever to say. So is it selective and cherry picking? Yeah, but does he also have to not do any of that period? Yeah, but I feel like if Elon took from Gary, that would probably be a smarter way of going about it rather than engaging with as many of these types of people as possible.
Well, I want to say what Empress and M said here. Elon probably sent the devs an email. I want to play, but don't have much time. Set me up and I'll write you a 5-digit check. Anything is possible. I don't even think he needs to send them a check. Just the fact of having him play their game is probably like a big respect, and they'll hook him up, in my opinion.
Of course.
So maybe he could have been more forthcoming about that, because it seems like maybe there's something. So there could be some truth to that, but at the same time, who really cares? It all seems very nitpicky.
It's a distraction, honestly. It's just something that is really not important at all, and we don't need it. We have far, far, far bigger fish to fry, and the fact that it made as much wave as it did, it's like, come on, guys. We have this is senseless. It really is. What it does, I don't care who's right. Maybe Asmongold is right. Maybe he did do nothing wrong. I don't care. We got things we should be paying attention to, not these distraction type of stories.
For sure. And if you want a good story, there's the one that Professor, do you have something you want to share with the Disney leak?
Oh, I mean, there's a lot of potential stuff that we could talk about here. I will just share this one article from Bespin Bulletin. It's not terribly long, but we can kind of talk around it because there's a lot of different stuff that's been happening in Star Wars recently. Most of it is not good.
But there's
let's
something now
see.
that they're leaking the
Yeah, so-
Mandalorian movie, right? There's leaks
Yeah,
now.
let me get this up here.
That's what. Never mind.
That's what she said.
But no, I was gonna say that, but I'm like, nah, shut up.
No, go for it. It's all right. So yeah, there's been a number of different leaks. There's been a few different people who've been coming out saying that they've got some inside info about the not just the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, but also some other stuff that's happening in the background. The big things about the Mando movie are who the villain is going to be in the Mando and Grogu movie. It's believed that the villain here is going to be Imbo, not a himbo, Imbo, Embo, who is this bounty hunter from the Clone Wars. So it's a previously known character, of course, another character that Dave Filoni created for another series, and he wants to bring back. He's brought back numerous characters from Clone Wars as part of the newer shows, and so here's yet another one. And he is going to be you got the Mandalorian and Grogu, and their mission apparently is going to be to protect Rada the Hutt. Do you remember Rada the Hutt?
Is that like the like the baby Yoda of Jabba the Hutt?
Yeah, more or less.
Ugh,
Wow.
From the very first
Clone Wars.
episode of Clone
I
Wars, you'll
remember that.
remember
Yes.
that they have to rescue Rada the Hutt, also known as Stinky. Yes. So they're going to be protecting Stinky in the film. He will have grown up by this point. So we're talking about this is, born somewhere at 22, 24 BBY. So he will have grown up. Hutts do live a long time, but he would probably be more like a teenager Hutt at this point, probably. By the time we get up to the Mandalorian and Grogu time. But this is like great. We're gonna bring back Stinky the Hutt, and he's gonna be chased by some character that nobody who doesn't watch Clone Wars is gonna know anything about.
It just feels so uninspired. I don't even know why they're making this movie, really. The show
No.
already went off a cliff. Why even make this stupid movie?
I really
I
don't
think it's
know.
a last-ditch effort,
Yeah.
really, as far as movies are concerned. Because remember, it's been since 2019 since Rise of Skywalker came out, and when this comes out, 2026 or 2027. Okay,
Yeah,
so
it's due out in 2026
So
right now.
7 years between the last theatrical release movie, and they've announced well over a dozen projects. None of them have even gone to filming and are never going to see the light of day. And their shows have been on a string of failures, even if they are considered not bad, whether it's Andor or Skeleton Crew or all right awful like Ahsoka and The Acolyte. The franchise is absolutely just burnt out. And I think once this movie, I think at best case scenario, I think it'll underperform. Worst case scenario, it's going to be a huge bomb, but it's definitely not going to be a profitable movie. I think that's when if this movie, especially if it bombs, this might be the final nail in the coffin of this thing needs to rest for 5 to 10 years. And it should, because you have not made a single human being excited about Star Wars. Even the people who pretended to be excited just so they could be contrarians to the arguments that most of us made on this corner of YouTube. They're not talking about this. Most of them are not. You got the 10 remaining shill YouTube channels still shilling because they want their Disney passes. They're what's left, and that number's starting to slowly diminish too.
Yeah.
There's no genuine enthusiasm even from that side. The people who want to pretend like it could be enthusiasm because it was the talk of the conversation, they're going away too. And that should tell you something. Normies don't talk about this. Here's the thing. I work in a place near Chicago. When The Mandalorian came out, seasons 1 and 2, regardless of how you feel about that show, I'm surrounded at an employer with over 100 workers, most of them normies. Lots of them were talking about The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
And then season 3 happened. I think I heard 1 or 2 talk about the first episode. Never to be seen or heard from again. But shows you how fast it fell off a cliff. It really took a huge steep fall. And I didn't hear anyone mention anything about this movie. There's no, oh, hey, oh, look, they're making this movie. They've lost the normie audience. And you know what they could have had if they didn't push that way? They could have had their actual audience, the one
Right.
that was always there. Instead, they scared them off too. So they're left with just basically tumbleweed. Nothing but tumbleweed flying by. All because they wanted to do things their way. I think reality is slowly starting to register with these guys. They're not going to admit that what they did was wrong, but they're just going to not make a bunch of stuff for a while. How long that'll be, I don't know. But I don't think they'll honestly. The only way they'll have to give this property up is if Disney hurts too much as a whole. Lucasfilm could tank, but they're not going to give it up.
By the way, Nick, I know that you have to go at some point, so if you need to go,
I got like
just
10
tell-
minutes. Yeah,
Oh,
I'll
okay,
tell
great,
you. I
great.
saw your message in the private.
Oh, okay. Just want to make sure. But no,
All
you're
good,
always
buddy.
welcome. Like you can stay for 5 hours. I'm just saying that.
Oh,
I
awesome.
didn't.
No,
All right.
I didn't.
I'm
know who-
honored. No,
night.
I'd love to join you guys again. So what we'll do is we'll plan better. We'll plan something.
We'll
all right?
plan
We'll
better
talk.
for sure. So
Yeah.
Kitty Bear says 7 a.m. here, time to go to bed. That means you're probably in Europe, I want to say, or maybe
Yeah, he
the
is.
Middle East or
Yeah.
something. I don't know. Europe is usually 5 hours. Maybe there's some that'll be 6 hours. I don't know. And then Stephen Mack said nobody cares about this movie. Caleb Levine said, because I was saying it was uninspired. You're wrong, Price. It is inspiring. It inspires me to sell my Disney stocks for a loss and completely give up on them. That's fair enough.
Well, we know, I mean, we already know that essentially this was going to be a 4th season of The Mandalorian. So
Yes.
it's a TV script that they've turned into a film.
Yes.
Sometimes that works. Most of the time it doesn't. And I'm not excited about this. I don't know who's excited about this. I don't know who's excited about Star Wars at all. This property is dead. This
Dead in the
IP
water.
has been
Mhm.
slaughtered
Mhm.
by KK and the rest of the story group there at Lucasfilm. Everyone who's in charge of this, they have destroyed this franchise. They spent $4 billion on a money printing machine. And
Mhm.
had they just moved forward with the classic characters to tell stories in this universe and start filling out what happened after Return of the Jedi and start telling us stuff, like it dug into the material that they had available to them from the expanded universe and everything, they could have told some fantastic stories. They could have just continued to mine this property, but instead they had to go their own way. They had to start telling these stories with as much agenda inserted into it as possible. They had to pack in as much, girl power as they could with the just ridiculous character of Rey, who is the definition of a Mary Sue. I don't want to hear it from
She
anybody
set
in
the
the chat.
blueprint for that. She
She
is
is-
the blueprint.
She's an absolute Mary Sue, 100%, and told this meandering mess of a sequel trilogy that disenchanted and just chased off fans left and right. The
Mhm.
Mandalorian was fairly successful when it started up. It won
Mhm.
back a lot of people. There are a lot of people who are really interested in it. And then, of course, finishing up with an uneven second season, but finishing
Yeah.
up with bringing back Luke Skywalker at the end of that season. Just
They
the
had people's
pinnacle.
attention with it.
Yeah, it was the pinnacle of what they had been able to do with Star Wars at Disney since they
Mhm.
had bought it. And then, nope, too successful. We don't want white man to be the lead in our show. We don't want Luke Skywalker around, and we need Baby Grogu back because we need to sell more, merch.
They defeated the point of that Book of Boba Fett show.
Oh,
Because
destroyed
the
it.
whole gist of that was obviously outside of Boba having his own show, but also the thing was you can literally skip that show. You're supposed to learn what life was like for Grogu after leaving Mando, but instead he goes back to Mando at the end of the show.
Yeah.
So basically, you've made that show, watching that show, pointless by doing that. You just showed you couldn't even go at least one whole season, or at least the last minute of the last episode of
Yeah.
of the season to have them back together. Because I get the idea of having them be away from each other, come back together. I mean, a lot of those types of stories have been done. Okay, great. But they couldn't go one full episode, not even half an episode, not even 2 minutes of one episode titled The Mandalorian to have them away. They need to give him right back, right to his own soul. So you could just skip that and go straight into it, assuming that you even have interest, but it just goes to show you why the show didn't need to happen.
Yeah. And then of course, the third season was a disaster.
Oh yeah.
Just some of the worst storytelling I've ever seen. So bad. And then of course, not only that, but we also get the the one Mandalorian coming in and basically taking over. And not that I have any problem with Katie Sackhoff. I actually like her.
I
as
hear
an
she's a
actress.
nice lady.
Yeah, but it was just so obvious, right? You just knew the whole time. Yep, he's gonna give her the sword somehow. There's gonna be something where he gets to get, and
So
she's gonna be the
annoying.
new Mandalorian, whatever. And then we got Ahsoka, and we got
Obi-Wan.
and we got the Acolyte. Ugh, just one thing after another. They've destroyed this IP, and the rumor is, of course, probably have heard this from a few different channels. The rumor is that this is it's make or break for this movie, for Mandalorian and Grogu. If this movie does not perform in the theaters, then they're gonna just put Star Wars on a shelf. And honestly, I think that's the best possible outcome.
If they can also fire Kathleen Kennedy and do like a public firing, if they could do that, that would already win a few fans back. Just say like, she's fired. She did a terrible job. She's gone. We've escorted her out of the building. At least like a few people may be like, oh, let's see what they do next.
Yeah, but that could also be a case of meet the new boss, same as the old boss. I get your point.
You're probably right.
That. But you got to remember, with these types of people, the level of arrogance they have to show any sense of humility that they were wrong, and that's probably why they won't get rid of her. Because even if they say nothing and just let her go, that's an indirect admittance that they were wrong, and they rather just double down and go down in flames. They're the types of people where they would rather get AIDS from Magic Johnson than to admit that they were wrong. If they had a choice between the two, like, oh, I'll sign up for those AIDS. I'll sign up for as fucked up as it is. That's how committed they are to wanting to own the chuds.
Yep, they got to keep that agenda in there, and they got to keep pumping it out.
By the way, I have to say, I don't know if Magic Johnson even has AIDS anymore.
All right, maybe he does, maybe he doesn't, but you get my point. I don't know. I don't know what's going on in Magic Johnson's life. I don't know if he unaided himself, but you get the point. You get the point. They're okay. Well, just fine. Let's just put it this way: they'd rather get eaten by a piranha than to admit they're wrong. If they had to come down to two, they're gonna all sign for that piranha. And then as they'll get eaten, they'll be like, at least we weren't racist. Yes. Like, as they're going down the sea. But that's how they'll be about it. Because they don't want to admit that they're wrong. Because in their eyes, they're never wrong about anything. That said, though, now pretend scenario. They get rid of Kathleen Kennedy. I don't think, even if it matters if they bring in someone, let's just say competent. Let's just go with the word competent. The franchise needs to rest. It needs to rest. You need to get people to miss it. You need to give them a reason to miss and say, man, Star Wars is starting to get really bad, but now it's been a while. Maybe it's time to go back and give it a shot again. They need to give people a reason to get excited again. And I really believe not doing anything is the best scenario. And I mean minimum, like anything. Not new shows, not new movies, not animated anything. Nothing. Zilch. You want to put out toys? Fine. Toys is toys.
Yeah.
But do not put out anything that is going to further the story. You need 10 years, no exceptions. And then maybe you might have a chance. Even if you have someone competent, because at that point, people might actually be kind of craving Star Wars. Maybe. That's a maybe. I mean, for sure, you're going to have some people who will probably be dead by then. But at least you'll have hopefully a younger audience that grew up on the original trilogy. Like, oh, hey, maybe one day when I'm older, they'll make new Star Wars. That's a maybe too. But
Yeah.
it's a better case scenario than firing Kathleen tomorrow and then handing over to someone new, right? Because all they're going to be doing is just paying for the sins of the mother in this case, and that's Kathleen Kennedy. Because people are like, oh, we just had crappy Star Wars. Yeah, they're not going to be invested. It's kind of like when every time there was a DC property made that didn't have Zack Snyder's name attachment. A lot of those guys were having box office bombs because they were paying for the fall of everything Zack Snyder created in his disaster. And they all paid the price for it.
Yep. I mean, it's honestly there. I was saying, this is kind of make or break for Star Wars, at least rumored anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Is there actually any chance that Mandalorian Grogu is big in the theaters?
Are we talking $1 billion big, or are we talking 500 million big worldwide? Where are we going at?
No idea. I mean, let's say breaks $1 billion. Any chance at all?
If it hits $1 billion, I'll be surprised if it does.
I'll be very surprised. I think that best case scenario of 300 to 500 million.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. As far as when I look at it, I'm thinking okay, it's a continuation of a TV show.
Mm-hmm.
A TV show on a premium streaming service. Not everybody has.
And also not everyone watched that last season. Because let's not forget, there was a time where shows did do well and they did get a movie that made a theatrical release. This isn't the first time. But this is a show where the third season no one watched. Yeah. I think we got to add that in as the key ingredient.
Well, and I also think that perhaps, do you think there might be a lot of normies out there who just don't even know what a Grogu is?
In 2020 they did, but now the ship has sailed.
I don't know, but
the character was a merch flyer 4 years ago. Now the stuff is sitting on the shelves now.
Yeah. I mean, now people were saying in the chat that Grogu has run its course, and I think that I agree.
Absolutely, it has.
If they followed up Mando season 2 with that type of movie, I would think it'd have a better shot at doing $1 billion, even if it was a mediocre movie, just because, it was like, okay, hey, we have a high here. Let's ride the momentum. But they're doing this now as a last-ditch effort.
Yeah, and I don't know how far it's going to get them. This is supposedly their best foot forward, but it's a show that already was a diminishing return on a stupid streaming service. How is this going to bounce back in movie theaters? I'm just not sure.
I don't know. The best performing thing on Disney Plus is not even a Disney Plus property. Keep that in mind.
Yeah, and I think that too. I guess the other thing that I'm thinking is there's going to be a lot of people who are just going to say, why am I going to see that in the theater? It's going to be on Disney Plus in a month. Why would I waste my time?
Yeah, it's the very definition of a Disney Plus show. Why would they go to the theater to watch it?
Yeah, why would you waste your time going to see it in the theater? It's you're just going to watch it on Disney Plus later. It's it's going to end up there. And if it's not something that's just like, make or break, it's an event, it's something I have to go see in the theaters, a lot of people are just going to check out of that anyway. I know that happens with a lot of films. Not just Mandalorian and Grogu, right? There's a lot of people just like, well, there's this A tier of things that are like, I need to see this in a theater because I want to see it now. I want to be able to go talk about it with my friends. I want to get the cinematic experience. And then there's a whole lot of stuff, B, C tier stuff down there that it's like, oh, look, that's in the theater. I'm not going to spend money on that. I'll wait for streaming. Yeah.
By the way, I wanted to ask you, because I'm almost done watching the first season of this, and I guess there's a new season. Have any of you watched, let me see if I can...
Skeleton Crew? Yeah.
Severance. Has anybody watched Severance?
Absolutely, yes. I have watched it. It is fantastic. Nice. It is a really interesting psychological thriller. And there's some great acting in it. It's not a particularly long series, and gosh, we're almost 3 years now since that first season aired.
And tonight the second one starts.
Yeah, the new one starts on Friday. Yeah, so yeah, it starts sometime.
I think I just need to watch episode 8, or maybe it's 8 or 9. I need to watch, I think, episodes 8 or 9, or just 9, to finish this season, and then I'll be able to watch the new one.
Yeah, the
It's
last couple of episodes are intense.
right.
They're really powerful, really strong episodes story-wise, character-wise, and it really changes the game. And yeah, you'll be ready for that second season. So
By the way, did either of you watch Landman, the finale there?
I got that last episode to watch, and then I'll be done. I still haven't had a chance to watch it yet.
I won't
I'm
ruin it
gonna
for
watch it
you.
tomorrow.
yeah,
No,
I
I won't
I
spoil
hear
it
it's
for you.
good. Is it good? Did you like it?
I'll tell you what, I like what I see in this first season, but I feel like this is a show that needs a bit of a polish to like take it to the next level. There were a lot of things I liked about it, but it's not perfect. It needs certain things need improvement. A lot of times the first season of a show it kind of finds its footing, and I'm really hoping that every season is going to get better. There are a few decisions they made here that I disagreed with, but I don't want to spoil anything. It was a finale that I wanted a more exciting finale. I felt it was just okay, but it sets up things for the future. We'll see where they take it.
Oh, that's interesting. I'm curious. I'm definitely more curious to see, because it sounds like I should definitely keep my expectations tempered when it comes to the season finale.
Well, somewhat. There's one thing specifically that I didn't like the direction of where it was going, but we'll only know if there's a second. They keep saying we don't know if there's going to be a second season. I think that's dumb. There has to be a second one because it's a highly rated show on their network.
Mhm.
The only thing is with Paramount, with all their financial issues and potential sales and mergers, maybe that's why they haven't immediately renewed Landman, because otherwise, based on the numbers, they would have just renewed it.
Yeah, I have not gotten a chance to watch Landman. It's kind of on my list. I've been watching Silo, which will also that wraps up tomorrow. The second season on Apple TV
Is
wraps
that
up
good? I
tomorrow.
didn't get a chance to watch that.
I've really enjoyed it. The first season was much better. The second season is not bad. It's just very slow. The story gets split up, and you're telling stories basically in two different places with characters that are not interacting with each other. And in the end, it just slows everything down, because you're only getting to spend kind of half the story over here with this group and half the story over here with this character. And it's interesting. I'm ready to see where they're going to wrap it up. I've actually read the first book. I've not read beyond the first book. It's actually originally a trilogy of books. And my understanding is that that Apple has actually said they're going to give them 4 or 5 seasons, I think already. They've already said, yeah, we're going to let you finish the whole story. So, it's an interesting show. It's got an interesting premise. Essentially, it's a society in the future that lives in this completely self-sufficient silo underground, and they don't really know anything about their past. They don't know anything about the world outside other than like it's poisonous and they're not supposed to go outside. And there's a lot. It's a very authoritarian group that runs this silo to try and keep everything in order. And you get some stuff that starts to fall apart in that society. And it gets really interesting. It's an interesting take on sort of a futuristic sci-fi and stuff. So yeah, I've really enjoyed it. Like I said, the second season a little slower, but it's still a really interesting story, and it's got Rebecca Ferguson in it, which she does a great job. So
I like Rebecca Ferguson. But before you continue, I just wanted to say Nick has to go.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. Glad we
Nick,
could
thanks for
have you
hanging
here.
out with us, and
my
also
pleasure.
I also want to thank you, and also tell people that are listening. Nick is 32 Flavors of Nick Weiser on YouTube. He also has a Rumble. I think on Rumble he's just Nick Weiser.
Yes.
But in any case, you should definitely check it out. And he's always really gracious. He's directed many a streams in our direction, because he does Toxic Tuesdays before us on Tuesday, and a lot of times he then diverts people to here. We always talk about him and say how much we appreciate it, but today he was finally on here, so we could also tell him that in person.
Oh, well, hey, I love helping a brother out, man. We're from the Mead family, so I love
From the
helping the
Mead
brother
family.
out. So, I saw our family photo that Scribe made for us. I'm like, that's us. We're the Meat family. We need that frame. It's so
Exactly.
nice. But in all seriousness, no, I love doing it. What we'll have to do is we'll have to do one night where there's a Toxic Tuesday, and you're on there, and then we'll do the Tuesday show where I'm on that show. I
Just
think that
roll
would be
right
like,
over.
Right. We'll
that'd
just
be so diabolically huge. Like it would just like, I feel like I could see Patrick from SpongeBob's head exploding several times over just because he couldn't handle such awesome.
totally.
I mean, the badassery would just be on their level. But yeah, thank you for having me, man. Come check out my channel. I do Toxic Tuesday on Tuesday, where we talk anti-PC movies.
I'm trying to see if I can share it. How do I
I don't know.
Professor, how do we do this?
I was gonna say, do you got any wrenches? Professor R2 is a mod, so he
Right,
can
that's
pull
why
through
I
that.
Yeah,
was
I'm
saying.
trying to pull up his channel.
Yeah,
here so I can share it.
I talk comics on Friday night on Klobby's Comic Shop, and I posted a video yesterday on my thoughts on the Daredevil Born Again trailer. And I feel like my thoughts are, I guess, admittedly exceptional because I don't know just Daredevil because of the Netflix show. I know him because I've read hundreds of issues of the original comic book. So if you want to hear from someone who understands the history of Daredevil, come check out the video and my thoughts on it. And of course, a lot of other videos and streams coming up. But thanks again for having me, Price, and a pleasure to meet you, Mr. R2. You gentlemen have a great rest of your evening. And chat, stick around and enjoy the show with these gentlemen. Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Good night. Okay, I'll just I'm just removing doing a little tell some jokes, Professor.
Oh no. Jokes. Yeah, I'm terrible at that.
If Sean were here, he's like, what do the pirates say?
Look at the take a look at the chat here. So Donnie Lockery said Star Wars needs to be next generation, but who other than Lucas could pull it off? Disney thought Kasdan could do it, but look how that turned out.
Person M says complimentary. Sorry, Sean.
Complimentary. Sorry, Sean.
Yeah, Nick Weiser is cool.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? He mentioned the Daredevil trailer.
Yeah.
Have you? Did you watch the original Daredevil show?
I watched the first season and part of the second one. I really need to go back and just I need to go back and watch all the way through.
I love that show
before the new one starts. I kind of fell off of it. Partly it was just time, like I just didn't have the time to watch it, and I was too busy with other stuff. So I do need to go back and watch that again. I did really enjoy that first season, and
did
really
you see the trailer?
Very, very gritty, very action oriented series, and it was the cinematography in that was amazing. I mean, that was not what you would expect from a television show, right? Back then, it was really good. But I did see the trailer. I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm interested, but people claiming it's going to save the MCU. I'm just going to be honest. I don't think anything can save the MCU, but it might be a good show despite that, right? So
let's take a look at this trailer if we're already here. This could be one of the final things we discuss here.
Yeah.
Let's see. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Thank you for finding the time. I will admit, it's not entirely unpleasant seeing you again. A lot of time has passed. By the look of it, you've come up in the world.
I could say the same about you.
The mayor serves his city. I can see you're not entirely convinced.
Can you blame me? I can't shake the feeling that you're gaming the system.
Why did you stop being a vigilante?
The line was crossed.
It's hard to come to terms with a violent nature. Hating the power It has over us.
This city can't go unchecked.
Sometimes peace needs to be broken. And chaos must reign.
Mind putting the hatchet down? I was raised to believe in grace. But I was also raised to believe in retribution.
You know, it's like I said here in the comment, what I write. Looks somewhat decent, but trailers don't mean a lot these days. Let's hope for the best. And I think that that's a good way to describe it. It's like with Disney, you just don't know these days. You just don't know. I mean, it could look okay in the trailer, and then you watch it, and they shove in like 70 weird messaging propaganda things. And that's why I'm very cautious also. It does look good on the surface, but that I just can't with Disney. The Last Jedi looked like a good movie before I saw it.
Yep, it's real hard to give them just any sort of leeway, any sort of grace to say, yeah, yeah, that's going to be good. I've seen a lot of people saying some stuff that oh, this is going to be the thing that finally brings the MCU. Honestly, I don't think anything's going to bring the MCU back. I think we're going to see, some bright spots here and there. Perhaps this might be one of them, but until they just give up and just reset, just start over. Uh, there's just too much baggage now. There's so much crud that's been just dumped out there for years, and I don't see how you turn turn a blind eye to that as you try to move forward with those stories. Maybe we can. I don't know. I would love to be back in the age of MCU films where we could count on one after the next being at least, an 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 for, each of the ones that's coming out. And then occasionally we get the really amazing films like Winter Soldier, and then, kind of fill in with more, fun, enjoyable stuff here and there, like Guardians of the Galaxy. That's enjoyable, but not really as serious. I liked that mix that they had of lots of different things, but uh, I just don't think it's going to happen again. I think that it was lightning in a bottle. They wrapped it up really, really well. Not particularly a great movie, Endgame, but it worked, and it had some great moments, and it finished off that large collection of films. And since then, we've gotten maybe 3 movies that were worthwhile. So I don't know.
Right. Yeah, I mean, Joshua Calkins asked, anybody hear the lion roar? I did think I heard a lion there,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah.
And yeah, I mean, this wasn't a show that necessarily saves the MCU anyways. It's just a matter of, can it be anything near as good as what the original show was on Netflix? Because it's Disney, nobody has faith in them. But the one thing I know is initially they filmed like 9 episodes. And after they saw the 9 episodes, Feige, in a rare move, decided to scrap everything that was filmed until that moment, which cost him like $90 million, or maybe $100 million. You don't do that unless it must have been awful.
Yeah, oh yeah, something was not working. Oh boy, ding ding, got a big old super chat over here on YouTube from Blade Nicotera for $20 and no message, just $20.
Wow, that's very nice
Thank
of
you,
you,
Blade. We
sir.
appreciate it.
Let me look. Maybe I can find the hidden message. Let me
If
see
you
if I
have a message to share, Blade, please put it in the chat.
Yeah, if
We'll
you
come,
forgot, let us know. We'll definitely, we got you covered.
we'll highlight that and share it with everybody. But yeah, thank you. Uh, yeah, I
Yeah, Blade
I'm
Nicotera, I don't see anything except for the chat. It seems
given that they did kind of pull back and say, no, this isn't working, let's try something different, let's try some different writers, let's pull in some other stories and some other writers to make this really work. Yeah, there's no way that was not a cheap decision to decide to throw away 7 8 uh episodes worth of the show and go back to the drawing board. So hopefully that means that, yeah, they're listening to fans. They're trying to create something that's more what we're looking for, and actually creating shows for fans instead of just filling them with as much messaging and agenda and stuff as they can, and then putting it out there. uh so
By the way, Blade Nicotera says, no
yeah,
message.
no message. Yeah,
Well,
well,
that's
thank you.
very nice of you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
appreciate
Thank you very
appreciate
much.
it. But that does make me hopeful that they are listening to fans. They are trying to make something that's more in line with more historical, MCU stuff, where it's really about the characters and it's about the story. It's about making stuff that the fans are going to enjoy, rather than just pushing lots of messaging. But uh, again, uh, I can't take anything from Disney or or Marvel at face value anymore. Yeah, the trailer looks pretty good. It does have that feel that you got from the earlier seasons of Daredevil. It sounds like it's going to be maybe an interesting story. So I saw some people talking. I'm not super, in depth as far as my knowledge goes on the comic books, but someone was saying it looks like perhaps it might have some stuff in the Devil's Reign storyline, perhaps, that someone was talking about, where I guess Kingpin, Fisk, becomes mayor and then outlaws vigilantism in the city. That might end up being part of the story. I don't know. Uh, it doesn't really necessarily seem like it's all going to be from the Born Again storyline. Like maybe they're going to be mixing in some different stuff together. So I don't know. I guess we'll just have to
Well,
wait and see.
I'm willing to give it a chance. Like I say a
Yeah.
lot of times, it's not that I want it to be bad. I like the original so much and I just want this to be good.
Yeah.
But just because it's Disney, I can never fully feel
Yeah.
that they'll do what they need to do.
Yeah. I think it's got a chance of being good.
It's got a chance. At least it shows that they tried to course correct in the middle and make it just, listen to what the fans were saying. I hope that they deliver something that's not an insult, but I
Yes.
don't know. We'll see.
Captain America 4, that does not have a chance.
No, that looks like it's going to be a stinker.
They really should just can it and take the tax write off. I know they can't. They can't can a Disney Marvel film with a black actor in the lead the first time he's playing Captain America in a film. They can't risk the visuals on that if they were to just throw that film away. But they're going to lose their shirt on that film. It's going to be a disaster, and it's going to hurt.
I
So
tend to
yeah,
agree.
same with Snow White. They should have canned that, should have thrown that away ages ago.
Tax write-off for sure.
But they're gonna stick to it. They're gonna put it out, and it's gonna be a laugh riot. They're gonna lose so much money on that film. But
And I guess,
yeah.
on that, again, positive note, if you can help me, because my thing kind of booted me out of the room and
Yeah.
brought me back,
I've got a list of everybody here. So
let's do some shout outs.
yeah, and you can keep an eye on the chat that you have there and see if I miss anybody. But we've got Kivo 1961 joining us tonight. CW Morgan Jr., Anima 911, Dude Bro Seth 420, Marla Sharondoff, Marokstro, Eraserhead. Thanks for being here, Eraserhead. Caleb Levine, Void King. It looks like Pimp Richard, PM Pritchard. I don't know. You can decide.
Sounds
Cos
good to me.
Cosgrove, Jamalama, the Dead Man, and thanks again for that super chat, the Dead Man. We appreciate it. We have DJ Play Nice, Argentum,
We
Empress NM, Whalem 03, I Have No Dick, Gerp Snot. Wow, that's interesting name. 32 Flavors of Nick Weiser popped into the chat, and then of course joined us on the channel for a bit tonight, and it was great to have you here, Nick Weiser. Marks 47, Captain Palsy. We had Nerd Wars who hopped into the chat for a bit and gifted 5 Price of Reason live memberships. That was very kind. Nerd Wars,
very
thank you.
kind.
Barbara Lawrence, Kitty Bear, Folsom.
Oh, have you disappeared?
Then we had the browser crash, and where did I leave off? Let's see. Nerd Wars, Barbara Lawrence, Kitty Bear.
Nerd Wars is great, by the way. That was a great
yeah.
channel. Really like that guy.
Let's see. Folsom Lockdown, Rabnut Scoobla, Ms. Sparkles. Love that name, by the way, Ms. Sparkles. Jonathan Conroy, Donnie Lockery, Blade Nicotera, and again, Blade, thank you for that $20 gift. And oh my God, he sent us another one. Blade Nicotera for $30 says hi.
Okay.
Hi, Blade Nicotera. Thank you for the $30 super chat. We appreciate it. The 20 and a 30. So thank you very much.
Wow. Wow,
Yeah.
Blade, this is very kind of you.
Incredibly generous. Thank you, Blade. We
really
appreciate
this
it.
made our entire stream here. This is very, very nice of you.
Indeed. Yes. So
and he doesn't even leave it. He just wrote hi.
Just wrote hi.
I feel like we have to do
generous.
something. Like I have to. For he's a jolly good fellow, which nobody can deny. I don't think that's what he expected to get for $30, but hey, we did the best
we don't have any we don't have Tom here with sound effects. We don't have any video clips prepped to reward super chats. Maybe we should work on that.
I really appreciate it. It's so really nice of you, and
I think I got just about everybody. If I missed somebody, sorry about that. But we're so glad that you're here. We appreciate your being here. Those of you here on YouTube, and of course, everybody out there on Rumble. We're really excited for you to join us here tonight. We got a nice 39 viewers out there. Not many were particularly, engaged in the chat, but that's all right. If you're out there watching us on Rumble, if you can do us a favor, give us a like and follow our channel out there on Rumble, we would appreciate it. And if you don't have an account yet, if you're just watching on your app or whatever out there on Rumble, it's real simple, real easy to make an account, and then you can follow not just our stream, but lots of other creators, including Nick Weiser's here on Rumble, where you can then get notifications whenever they post any new videos or go live.
Okay, first of all, I see that Blade Nicotera did want something, so let's see.
Oh, what's
So first of all, he said that I should sing the Aerosmith song that I don't like. Let me see where. Sing that. I feel like I'm missing something. Sometimes in these different platforms, we lose a message. That Aerosmith song that you don't like. I don't want to miss you, girl. And I don't want to miss a thing. That's like a very annoying song.
It is. It's by far the worst thing they ever made. It's terrible.
It's so awful. It's so cheesy. It's like it's just the whole thing is such a big pile of cheese, but in a way that's not cool. It's like I don't care how you try to sell that song. I just don't like it. Now somebody said that maybe I could tell a story, so I'm trying to think if there's something I could tell that would interest people that I could possibly tell. Have you I probably shouldn't. I don't know. It's not that anybody cares. I have some of the strangest stories in entertainment. I'm trying to think of one that could be interesting, but nobody would even know this. Have you ever heard of an artist called Keith Sweat?
Keith Sweat. Oddly, the name kind of sounds familiar, but maybe I'm thinking of that Japanese drink Pocari Sweat. I don't know.
Let me see if I can find a picture of him.
Keith
So
Sweat.
apparently,
Yeah.
I guess it's this guy. Let me see if I can. This is going to be the dumbest story ever. But somebody told me to tell one, so here you go.
That's way more flattering than the picture on Wikipedia.
I think he's older in that one. In any case, has anybody heard of this guy? Does anybody know? Chat, does anybody know who this is? I guess not. In any case, I think he's like a R&B singer of sorts. Now, what happened is that years ago, yeah, as an R&B veteran, years ago, I've said it before that there would be events. Sometimes it would be corporate events. Sometimes it would be different types of events that needed talent or entertainment. And one of somebody that I used to work with, for some reason, these people were doing an event and they wanted Keith Sweat. Okay. Now, personally, I don't really listen to Keith Sweat. I have nothing to say about it. A lot of times a client would ask me, and I think that I knew because of the business I was in, a lot of times I would know somebody that either knew the artist or whatever it is. And I actually was trying to get a hold of him. Are you with me?
I'm with you.
So we had somebody that was sort of like a manager of sorts, and I brought an offer, and I said, hey, they want to pay you this amount of money, decent amount, something decent. You come in, you do something, you appear, you do a few songs. It's like an event. You go on your way. It's the kind of deal that artists like. You fly in, you do a few songs, you grab some money and leave. This is, if you're an artist, this is what you're looking for. And also keep in mind, I think this guy was popular like in the 90s or something. I was talking to him in like I want to say maybe it was 2010 or something like that. So it's not in the prime of his career, okay?
Yeah.
Somebody said his music is awful. In any case, what happened is that this guy that you see in the picture, I spoke to the manager, made the offer, and then they said, they got back to me. They said, we spoke to the guy. He's interested. I go and already start like firming up the deal, confirm. Already people are working on a contract. This guy is going to go and perform at this event, and everything is taken care of, and everybody seems to be happy. And then suddenly, I think that I'm trying to remember how this went down. I think that suddenly the manager called me and said that Keith has thought about it, and he no longer likes the deal. And I said, the guy already agreed to the deal. This is already kind of problematic. Once contracts are being issued, like an offer was submitted in writing and you accepted it, to suddenly get up and say, like, I don't like the deal, it's really like a difficult situation to put
Yeah.
everybody in.
Yeah.
And imagine also, he's not like Beyonce, you know what I mean? It's not like some big name like at that moment. And I think that whatever he was being offered was very fair. So I start calling and the manager disappears, and I don't know how. I maybe had I had a phone number to a guy called Daryl Sweat. So Daryl Sweat was Keith Sweat's cousin. Couldn't make this up. Are you with me?
Mm-hmm.
So basically, I tried calling and I said to Daryl Sweat, listen, you got to talk to your cousin. This is a really strange situation that he's putting me in because he's already agreed to the deal. So he's like, okay, I'll talk to him. Don't hear from the manager. Don't hear from the cousin. I don't hear from anybody. Everybody's waiting for me. I go to sleep. I don't know what it is. I go to sleep. And then I think at around, I want to say 6 a.m. Are you with me?
Yep.
I'm sleeping in my bed. 6 a.m. I got a phone call. I pick up the phone, and it's Keith Sweat. It's Keith Sweat, and not only that, he has his cousin on the phone with him. and they're both like, and I don't even know. I just woke up. Like, I don't even know what's going on. And I'm not imagining that Keith Sweat is going to call me. And he has this kind of very deep voice. He's like, "Rah, rah, rah, rah." So, so like I pick up the phone. He's like, "Yeah, it's Keith Sweat. It's Keith Sweat." And I'm like, "Okay." And I'm like, and I quickly woke up. I'm like, "Listen, you gotta, you already agreed to the deal. Like, this is really strange." And he goes, "No, no, I'm hot. I'm hot right now." I said, "What do you mean you're hot?" He goes like, "I'm hot, too hot in the marketplace right now. Need more money. I'm hot." I'm like thinking to myself, what is wrong with this guy? It's like he was hot maybe for a minute in 1990. You know what I mean? Like I'm
Yeah.
talking to him in like 2010. It's 6 a.m. My impression is that he probably went to a club or something and never went to sleep. Do you get what I'm saying? My morning is probably this guy isn't even sleeping. And
Yeah.
then his cousin is on the line, kind of like a hype man. So he's like, "Yo," and his cousin had like a higher pitch voice. So he's like, "Yo, I'm hot, man. I'm hot." And then like his cousin's like, "He's hot, yo." And I'm thinking to myself, this cannot be happening to me at 6 a.m. This is impossible. Like I said to myself, nobody would ever believe that this is like what my 6 a.m. looks like. And I'm just trying to kind of get a grasp at what's going on here. And he just kept telling me, no, I need more money. Too hot right now. Too hot in the marketplace. I kept saying that. I'm like, what is wrong with these people? And at the end, I just told him, listen, I'm not going to be able to do more. This deal is just going to fall apart. And that's what happened. I hung up. The buyers that were already doing the contracts, everything just fell apart. Never worked with this guy. Never heard from him again. And that was it. That's my Keith Sweat experience. That him and his cousin called me at 6 a.m. And people probably said to me like, he must have like had something to drink at this party or whatever he went. Who
Could
knows?
be.
Yeah, I
Could
feel
be.
like I feel like me and them were not in the same mindset. They were somewhere else. I don't know where they were at. I don't want to make any kind of bold claims as to what their state of mind could have been. But I feel like me at 6 a.m. waking up was a completely different state of mind than them coming back from a club of sorts or something. So so Blade Nicotero, you wanted a story. Hopefully Nicotero, hopefully you wanted a story, then you got it. I don't know if anybody even knows who this guy is, but that's the funny thing. It's not like I listen to his albums either. Like he's telling me he's so hot. It's not like I'm like an avid listener of Keith Sweat either. The only reason I even did this to begin with because somebody asked for him,
Sure. Yeah.
So
That's funny.
yeah, probably Melvin Deeply is sitting as we speak and sniffing this thing. That's why these days I always am cautious about what I tell because usually he'll like he'll clip it and that'll be the end of it. Now like people are just I feel like next time we're on one of those Mr. Brown Alliance shows, people are going to be saying, "He's hot, yo." But the hype man,
What's the problem?
the fact that he had the hype man with a higher voice, it's just priceless. Like I couldn't. I said to myself, like if I was directing a movie and this scene happened, somebody would say like maybe it's not. It's too much. You know what I mean? But that's it. Hopefully. Hopefully people enjoyed the story even if they don't know who it is.
Yeah, that's
That is funny. And what does he
that's
look
funny.
like now? You said he doesn't look so good now?
The picture on Wikipedia looks a little rough. Yeah.
I mean, he's older. I think that this was a picture of him younger. I guess he's, what does he look like on
Yeah.
Wikipedia?
He's 63 now, I guess it looks like. So
All right. I mean, listen,
Yeah.
if you're 63, this is him in 2023. Obviously, even when I spoke to him, he probably looked more like that picture than here because this, when I spoke to him was at least 13 years earlier.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. I mean, he's like from the New Jack Swing movement. I don't really know. What are these songs? I Want Her, Make It Last Forever. I'll Give All My Love to You, Make You Sweat. Oh, Make You Sweat because he's Keith Sweat. Get Up on It, Twisted, and Nobody. I mean, it's a lot of hits. I guess I don't really know. What do I know, man?
Yeah.
Anyhow, on that very positive note, some Eraserhead wrote, "Yeah, you was popular in sheet,"
In sheet.
and Blade Nicotero says, I grew up in the 80s and 90s. Argento, I love your stories, Bryce. Thank you. There's a lot of times stories that I can't even repeat. I feel like in this case, nobody cares. It's not anything. Nobody's going to lose any sleep over this story. It's kind of mild, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, Stephen Mack says, I'm going to try that with a client. What? This kind of negotiating? You're going to call them at 6 a.m. and say that you're hot? I don't know why it's funny that that's what he called and said to me. Like, I can't explain it to you.
I'm too hot. I'm too hot.
Too hot right now. Too hot right now. It's like, what do you mean you're hot right now? It's like, hot doing what? Like, I didn't even know what to answer, and he just woke me up. It's like, I didn't really have something like to counter, except for that, like, he had already agreed to the deal. All this, like, I'm super hot right now is just really, it doesn't make sense to me on it. Like, people are saying negotiations. It doesn't make sense to me on a negotiation level, and the deal fell apart. Like, I don't know what muscle he was flexing, but
yeah,
maybe he just didn't care. Who knows? At that moment, maybe he just came back from a party and he was like on top of the world, and he's like, you know, screw this guy. I mean, when I say screw this guy, I'm the guy that he was thinking that about. But
I'm so hot right now. You need to pay me twice as much money for this period.
I'm too hot.
Like, I'm too hot. Too hot.
Too hot in the marketplace, or something like that. I don't know what he was. Something like that. Too hot in the market. I'm like, oh, wonderful. It's wonderful. I still an experience. You know what? It is an experience.
It's like, I don't know what you want. Can I get you like a free sub at Subway or something? I don't really know what else I'm supposed to do for you, bud.
Nothing.
Not really a negotiation here.
I had nothing to say. There was nothing, and I knew the way he was talking, what he was saying. I knew that the deal would just fall apart.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's situations like this that then reflect poorly on me, because as the person that's setting up a deal, if there's already like, and the other people that are not him are more like organized, you know what I mean? These are people, there's like lawyers, there's contracts, there's stuff like that. The only kind of factor here that's sort of like a loose cannon, I don't know, like the only thing that you can't really control in this whole situation is just this guy. Like all the other people, they're already like ready with the paperwork and stuff. So yeah. Anyhow, I appreciate that that you all hung out and listened to this random story, and hopefully I made Blade Nicotera at least smile with the story.
Yes.
So thank you so much for the support.
Yes.
Any support we get here is always like really appreciated. We enjoy hanging out with you all, and there's such a good group of people that we see here often, and we don't take it for granted. We try to create a really, and I say this also, me and Professor R2, we're kind of the core. We have guests here coming in and out, but we're like the core here, and we really put in an effort here to, you know, hopefully entertain and keep people amused at a late night hour. And if we've done that, then you know, I feel like we've accomplished something. So thank you for everything. Somebody said, did he sign the paperwork? No, he didn't sign the paperwork. The deal fell apart. It never happened. That was the end of the deal. Because maybe it's possible. It's a good thing that you asked, and then I'll answer this and we'll leave. It's possible that the next morning I actually had to go to whoever was doing the contracts and the buyer and all that, and I had to say, listen, I know you're not going to believe me, but he called me in the morning and he said that he's too hot. I probably had to say that like an idiot, and everybody was just like, you know what?
He said he's too hot. He's too hot.
No, I think I had to explain to them that that's what was going on, and they're just like, okay, well, we don't know what to do with this. Screw that. And I think that was the end of it. You know what I mean? That was the end of the deal. But again, maybe he had other deals. Maybe he had other things going on, and it was no interest to him. What do I know?
Right.
In any case,
Here, I got a clip to share. Thank you.
What's the problem?
There you go.
That's a great clip. So yeah, you guys, you all have a great night. It's been such a pleasure hanging out with everybody, and we're here every Tuesday and Thursday. If you're on Rumble, make sure to, if you're not already if you didn't open up an account for Rumble, an official account, you should open one. You can do it for free. And if you want to follow us, if you enjoy our stream, that's cool too. In addition, on YouTube, if you came from some other channel, you're watching this stream and you're enjoying it, make sure to subscribe to that channel. I know a lot of people, they know my main channel, and then they don't realize that this one is sort of the secondary channel. But this one is all the live streams. So if you're not subscribed to it, you really should, because there's always cool things going on.
Indeed. Always
So
interesting stuff.
on that wonderful note, is there something else you wanted to say before we go, Professor?
No, not in particular. If you don't have anything going on tomorrow night, I know that Adam Gray and Barbara would love for you to join in and watch their B-side stream over on B-roll stage on YouTube and also over on Rumble. They will watch a movie and have some fun with it, watch some shorts, maybe even play some games. And it's a nice, fun hangout on a Friday night. So, yeah, if you want to, if you don't have anything else going on, come join us over there. I know there's more than a few people here in the chat that are going to hang out with us over there tomorrow night. So, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll have to check
And,
that out.
and maybe Adam's going to get Price on the show one of these days, too.
Oh, for sure, for sure. I actually, at some point, he should make an appearance here. I tried the other day, but then I guess
Yeah,
he was busy.
Yep.
We'll try to work something out. We all should always support stuff that we do. It's good that we all hang out and support each other. It's always a good thing. So I guess, like I said, on all these positive notes, I want to wish everybody a good night and a good day, or wherever you are in the world, and we'll see you here on Tuesday.
Yep. Have a great weekend, people.
Bye.
Bye.